Every Tuesday at noon, we talk about, engage with leadership-related topics. And today's topic, really in the workplace, since we're all human, guess what? We're going to have some conflicts or disagreements in that. So we want to know, how do we work through those? We can use some of these tips in our regular day life, right? Even at the grocery store, you can use these tips. So the question, do you have an effective strategy in, for conflict resolution in your workplace? Because if you don't, then people are going to disagree or have issues which will impact the bottom line of accomplishing the mission or the task, or, getting the work done. And then you want to have people be in safe places and spaces and want to come to work, right? So whether we're talking about co-workers, employees, sometimes your boss, your conflict, you're like, oh, this guy sucks. Or the clients, and you want to have good professional working relationships. A lot of people just shy away from dealing with conflict, see it as, I don't want to deal with it. You have to deal with it. So let's develop a strategy that's safe and helpful, and is going to, help the organization grow, because that's really what this is about, right? So, just to be clear, this is about the organization growing and the people working together to accomplish that particular overall mission. Really what happens with this conflict thing is just causes a lot of anxiety, and who wants to work with folks that, who wants to work with people that, you feel uncomfortable with? I don't. You don't either. So let's work through this. So what I found is dealing with these issues, which is really talking about dealing with people, it takes up a lot of time and energy. When you start looking at what's stopping your organization from being so productive, is usually strained relationship between employees. It's not necessarily that the people that you work with, your teammates, your peers, your employees, don't have the skills. They have the skills and the motivation. It is, we don't like the people I work with. So that's kind of interesting. So that means that, I remember when I was serving on active duty in the greatest army on the planet. I've served for 27 years, and I remember, sometimes some jobs, some positions, I spent about 80% of my time on about 10% of the people. That meant that my 20% that were not dealing in foolishness, they were not getting what they needed from me, to be developed and move forward. I just, you got it, keep doing what you're doing. That's crazy, right? And so we have to get those issues, those problem people, you have to settle them down and get them aligned with the mission and organization, just like everything else. Basically, you have to pay attention to all your people. There's really no way around it. Office disagreements, they're just unavoidable. They really are. Just like in your home and your family, if you got more than one kid in the house, you're going to have a disagreement, right? So it's unavoidable. And sometimes we're talking about bullying and sexual harassment. Sometimes we're just talking about rude, nasty people. Sometimes we're talking about people that have big egos. And sometimes we're talking about people who have assumed power that they don't have the authority to have. So you have to just know what you're dealing with. And one way to do this, not the only way, but one way is coaching. So that can help resolve some of these interpersonal problems, and also, the bottom line, you want to improve work relationships. So you want to coach, use coaching techniques to help resolve these issues, right? So 4 things you can do to resolve conflicts in the workplace. Design the relationship, listen effectively, ask powerful questions, and then you want to empower others to find their own answers. Think about it. If you were the person that was saying, you and you, this is what you would do, this is how you resolve this, and guess what? As soon as you're gone, they're going to go right back into those habits because they've not developed the skills themselves to work through these issues. It's distractions, right? So, of course, I'm Angela Oderman. I served in the military for over 27 years, and military service was my pathway to creating the Better You Project. It's a community of women leaders, and I focus on helping emerging women leaders develop their leadership skills with confidence. And today we're focused on conflict resolution. So the first step in resolving workforce workplace conflicts is design their relationships. Really, people have to have an agreement, and whether we're talking about a coworker or an employee, they have to have an agreement on how you're going to work together more effectively. So that's what that means. How are we going to work together? How are we going to get this done? Sometimes we just have to agree to disagree. Sometimes we got to leave Mr. or Mrs. Grouch at the house, right? That thing. So what we want to do is include guidelines, establish guidelines for communicating. That's how I'm going to talk to you, treat you, interact with you, engage with you. Guidelines on accomplishing tasks, and then guidelines on having meetings, because that's everything that involves you and I working together, right? And again, we're in the workplace, so really we're there to accomplish the mission. This is not about you and, this is your favorite place to hang out for 8 hours, 10 hours. So you want to make sure you get the mission done. So we're talking about boundaries, setting boundaries, and you want to determine how to handle feedback and disagreements up front, like ahead of time. We want to know how we're going to handle feedback and disagreements. And then you want to do this when, things are not tense, right? So one thing you want to do is you want to be able to talk about the problems openly. And again, this is when things are calm and stable, not like when you're in throes with people like, rah, rah, rah. You want to do that. So this right here helps if you have, you might have a third party there with you if you're not comfortable with the person. And you want to be safe, right? And again, we're talking, sometimes you might be dealing with bullies and people with big old egos and, sometimes sexual harassment. Like, these are real world issues. And is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be comfortable? No. I don't know what your current situation and circumstances is, but the first thing I want you to be is safe. So in the comments, when you please just let me know if you are right now finding value in this portion. If this is a valuable topic, type yes, 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 valuable topic, yes, yes, yes. If no, just sit back and listen. All right, looking for some yeses over here. There you go, there you go. To start with designing the relationships, you want to just think about, what do you need? Put yourself in that person's position. From that perspective, you want to be able to see what would make you more willing to be open in a professional relationship. Now, this is not your boo, or, this is not the people you're going to be all hugged up with tonight, right? These are people that you work with. You're there to complete a list of tasks today. That's what you're there for, to lead and to do what you've been hired to do. Do what you said that resume, that smoking resume said you could do. So you want to think about, in a work relationship, in a professional relationship, what would make you more willing to be open, to communicate, to want to get things done, to work with other people. And so the elements most likely, trust, respect, and mutual vulnerability. And we're not talking, I'm not about to lay out my deep secrets to you, but at the very least, we want trust and respect, and we want mutual vulnerability, right? You can just outright say, you know what, I'm just trying to figure this out. I'd love to get this done with you. So you want to first just look at what you're struggling with. Is it that you don't trust the people, you don't feel respected, or you're not giving respect, you're not pulling your weight, you show up late, and can't trust you, or you're not consistent enough, what's the problem? Or you just, saying, I got it. I got it. So in the comments below, are you struggling with either one of these elements, trust, respect, or mutual vulnerability? And I bet that yes is pouring in, because guess what? Sometimes just the way you show up pisses people off. I'm saying. And sometimes that's not your issue, that's theirs, but you want to recognize what's going on. So type yes if either one of these three elements resonate with you. I see you. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So we're still designing a relationship, right? So you have, you might have a coworker or an employee that says, hey, I just want to be heard. I don't want to be talked over. I want my opinion to be at least listened to. Act like you want to know what I think. I'm thinking I'm bringing something valuable to the table. So you might just want to allow that person the opportunity to express himself first. And then you can say, oh yeah, this is what we're going to do. So just recognize how you come across, or the people that you are coaching, how they are interacting. So just pay attention and then just come up with some scenarios and how you can make the person feel valued, establish trust and respect, and let everybody know where folks fall. And, when you have these conversations, this is not out in the open in front of everybody, right? We're not going to put anybody on the offensive or defense, rather, and we're not going to make them feel less than. So think about that. So in the comments below, type yes or no if you have some examples in mind of how you can create a better work environment so that people can trust. So yes, if you can come up with some examples yourself of how you can do better. Yes, 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 yes. All right. So we're still designing a relationship. And so next you want to create a checklist. This would be a list of things that your coworker, employee, or your client that you all can work through, right? And this would include, objectives, tasks that you need to achieve. Because this is not like an impersonal thing. Like, we're not going to dinner, right? You don't have to be at lunch break. I don't have to like you. So objectives, tasks you need to achieve. That's one. Roles you should each play in your relationship. And this is based on your strengths, right? Especially if you're collaborating on a particular project. So you might be the detail person. They might be the big one wave kind of person, big visionary. So what works for you. You might be the person that says, hey, we've got to make sure we keep up with all the policies and regulations. We can't do it. We don't color out of the lines, outside of the lines. So just play to your particular strength, and then you talk through it, right? Challenges you have encountered previously and may encounter again, and how to handle them going forward. So this is basically you all communicating on how you're going to collaborate, work together, right? How you're going to show up so that you add value. That's what this is. You also want to, look at the milestones for your project or your task. And so really what just happened was you take a step back and look at why you were at work and focus on that, as opposed to, this person don't like me, or her perfume's so loud I just make my nose itch. It could be anything crazy. Just focus on the job, right? And then you agree to disagree and be respectful, right? Listen to folks and keep moving. So you also want to have ground rules for meetings and communication, especially if you have two co-workers teaming together from two different sections, and you are meeting some outside client. You definitely want to have some ground rules for meetings and communication, right? So share your comments below if you resonate with those things that you can concentrate on, as opposed to the personal, as opposed to my lunch buddy, as opposed to my friend. If you have a friend at work, your work friend, that's like a plus. That's like icing on the cake, right? That's icing on the cake. That's not really why you're there. It's not your social environment. So focus on the tasks that are going to help you become more efficient and effective and safe in the workplace. So finally, for designing a relationship, you want to, you might have a difficult employee or client or coworker. So think about what that person needs. Yeah, so what? They're crazy, but still they're human, and they need something just like you do, right? And generally, we need to feel trust, compassion, stability, and hope in our professional relationships. So put these things in perspective. And I'm not telling you to bend like all the way over, so you laying down that the person is walking all over you, but at least come to the table with awareness of what they might need, right? And then, so once you figure out what that person is, what a gap is, this might likely prevent some conflicts at work. So put on your grown-up hat, right? Put on your big girl panties and then work through this thing. Communicate with people. In the comments below, type yes in there if if you're still with me, because I'm looking over here and I don't see the comments. So if you're still with me, yes. So really, these steps design a relationship. What you want to do is you want to have the person take responsibility, and you want to establish clear boundaries. And really, this whole thing, if you think about designing a relationship, is about responsibility and boundaries and communication. You want to treat people with dignity and respect. In the comments below, if you are willing to treat folks with dignity and respect and establish some boundaries, go ahead and type yes down there. Yes, 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 right? So the second step in resolving workplace conflicts is listen actively. Sometimes we, oh, thanks, Caroline, you can hear, and Carrie, you're here. Thank you. And Monique, I see you here. I appreciate that. Appreciate that feedback. So you're listening actively. I love it. I love it. So we're talking about resolving workplace conflicts. And so the second step in that is listen actively. And there is just no way around communicating with folks. And so that's what everything in your workplace is about. Even if you work from home, you still got to communicate with people, because they're going to see when you log on and you log off, and when you document your work, right? So this is critical for efficiency and effectiveness. So that's the whole point. You got to communicate. And the spoiler alert, everybody is not a good listener. They don't know how to do it, hadn't been taught to do it, hadn't been trained to do it, hadn't been willing to do it. So let me know whether you yourself are an active listener. Active listener, yes, yes, yes. I see you, Monique. Active listener, yes, yes, yes. So there are 3 levels of listening, and we're still talking about resolving conflicts. And I guess you're saying, well, why I gotta listen if this maniac over here is coughing and taking my candy and taking my food out of the refrigerator? Because that's a great skill to have, right? Right. So the first part of active listening is the internal listening. So we know in our head, sometimes people are talking to us and we're like, whew, I just don't have time for this. You have your own judgment, you have your own needs, and then you're like raring to go because you got something else to say. As soon as they stop, right, you're thinking in your head, that sounds hard. You want me to do all that? Man, I can't wait for lunch. So you're in your own head. So that's internal listening, which is quite frankly not very effective for this time, right? So you want to have, which the second one is focus listening. And that really means that you're focused. You're actually focused on the other person. You're not just listening to what they're saying. You're watching what they're doing as far as, nonverbal cues. You're leaning in, and that's something you're doing all that, right? And or either you watching if they doing like this, and you watch it and you'll get defensive, or you just like, you know what? Oh, I am not sleeping with this person. So guess what? I'm gonna go ahead and work this thing out because I want to have a great work relationship. So separate these 2 things: your professional relationship and then your family and your friends, your loved ones. So you want to get the job done. So focus listening is where you need to be. And then there's global listening. We're talking about the 3 levels of listening, right? And so you are focused now on the energy and tone between you and, basically this person, your conversation partner. And, you're aware of shifts in attitude. Sometimes I'm talking to people and I'm just like, ooh, I have to lean back, lean back because of the energy they're bringing. And I'm saying, I know that's not about me. That's not about me, right? And so I have to get out of my own way, out of my own head. And then sometimes the energy is, I feel like I've known this person all my life. I love you. So you got to just understand what's going on, right? And recognize what's about you and what part you play in the conversation. And just like you're watching their nonverbal cues, they're watching yours too. So unfold your arms, right? Lean in, look at them, don't stare them down. Don't have your phone up while you're talking to the folks, none of that, all right? None of that. You could have like a sheet of paper, like you're taking notes, but actually listen. Listen, not to be pouncing to respond, but listen to understand. And that's not easy either. So I don't want to portray it as if it is something easy to do. So share comments below the 3 levels of listening. Oh, I see you, Kimberly. You said the art of fertile listening. Oh, all right. So in the comments below, if you saw value in those 3 levels of listening, yes, yes, yes. If not, then put no, right? That means you're actually listening. So the 3rd step, of course, we're talking about the 4 steps for resolving workplace conflicts. The 3rd step is to ask powerful questions. That's your 3rd step, is ask powerful questions. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to incorporate all these levels of listening when you're managing conflict in the workplace. You want to first just set the tone of the conversation. And so you're not just out in the open telling people, get in my office. You're not doing that, or you're not a big nasty loud person with this. Just not. That's not going to work for long, right? Because you're talking to grown-ups. You're talking to grown people. You're talking to grown-ups. So you want to first, you set the tone of the conversation. And you want to let the person know, hey, I got something to talk. I want to talk to you, or can I talk to you about something? Or let's talk, however you want to say that, because of your circumstances and where you work. You know how to say it. You're a grown woman. You know how to say this. You want to ask permission to discuss the issue. Whatever the answer is, you're still going to discuss the issue, but you want to at least ask. Right? Now I want to talk about that. Oh, okay, so how about at 3? Yeah, how about at 3? Maybe not today. Okay, so in the morning, how about you just come in about 15 minutes early and let's go ahead and work through this, right? Because on the other end of that, just understand they might not want to talk about difficult situations either. It's uncomfortable for them also. But still, you've got to do it because this is about the organization and the mission. And you want to have a great working environment, safe environment for everybody, not just the bully, not just the person who is loud and obnoxious, not just the person who's laying down on a job, but for everybody, right? And so you want to be quiet and calm. And then you want to go through the problem slowly. You want to do it away from others also, right? You don't want to embarrass anybody. You don't want to demean anybody. You don't want to do that because that's a reflection of you and your leadership skills, not them and what they're doing, right? So for me, I've always wanted to make sure, first of all, that the person understood what the issue is, that my vision, that my intent was understood, that I actually clearly shared what I wanted to happen. You want a safe work environment, right? You want people to be respected. And you want to have an efficient and an effective work space. And so once you say, hey, this is what we're doing, and the people are butting heads left and right, blah, 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 you got all this going on, you put them to the side, and once you train them, and once they know this is the appropriate way to conduct themselves, and the person refuses to do that, they've been trained, they've been warned, blah, 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 it's documented, then guess what? At some point, they got to go home. How about that? All right? Because, so let's just get back. So once you're talking to the person, you are calm, and you're going through the problem or the issue itself, the challenge. You want to ask questions rather than giving advice. You want to ask some powerful questions. Hey, what's going on? This is what I noticed. This is what I noticed. This is what I observed. Did I see that right? Oh, Jill came to me with this, said you were cursing or something. Is that true? And you want to give the person the opportunity to come up with some solutions rather than, just right away saying, you suck. So you want to, at that point, you're probably going to notice that the conversation, the tone of the conversation would change because you're not giving advice, you're asking questions. And that goes back to that same whole thing of, teach your man to fish, right? Teach him how to fish, not just fish for him. And then guess what? He'll know how to fish for himself for days and days and days. But if you bait the hook, catch the fish for him, and take the fish off, all of that, then guess what? That person just they're just there. So you've not taught them anything. And this is always going to be your problem to solve. Make it theirs. So in the comments below, just, do you agree with asking the questions and not giving advice? Do you agree? You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree, because there's a different way to do this. It's not the only way, right? So if you agree with asking the questions as opposed to giving advice, then yes, yes, yes. The fourth step in resolving workplace conflict is you want to empower others to find their own answers. That's all I was talking about, the whole fishing. You step back, what does this do? This allows people to take responsibility and develop a plan that works for them. Who wants the boss telling them this is how you're going to A, B, and C do this thing? No. Hey, I got it. Oh, man, I didn't mean to say that. I got it. So you want to reduce your internal listening, which means you're in your head trying to figure out what you're going to do next, what you're going to say next. You're in your opinions or your judgments, and you want to develop focused listening skills, right? You want to focus on what the person is saying, their nonverbal cues, right? And you want to be engaging at this point. And what does that do? That shows that you're respecting, that you hear them, and that you're serious about getting to a positive result. That's what that shows. So, sometimes you just need to pay attention to what the person is not saying and, what you might have missed. And then sometimes, just shut your big old mouth boop, boop, and listen. And it's okay. So you empower them to find their own answers to this particular scenario because maybe this issue is bigger than you. So I don't know your circumstances or, what's going on, but 4 steps to resolve conflicts, guidelines. And so as far as empowering others to find their own answers, yes, if that resonates with you, and no, you want to do it for them. There we go. So the 4 steps in resolving conflict in the workplace include design a relationship, listen effectively, ask powerful questions, and empower others to find their own answers. So this was really, down and dirty. Of course, there's so many different layers to this. There's not one perfect solution, but I'm just giving you, some guidelines. And the bottom line is communication plays the biggest role of all of this. Communication plays the biggest role. You have to be brave enough, you as a leader, brave enough to reach out and talk to people, right? And make sure you design a relationship based on boundaries and respect. And of course, you have to show up, correct yourself. So that's where we are. That's the end of today. And I lead into what I'm working on, because I know people ask me that. So, hey, what are you doing? So developing a SOAR Leadership Confidence Group coaching program. It has a comprehensive step-by-step curriculum for 10 training modules. We'll do 10 weekly group coaching calls via Zoom. We'll have homework, assignments, templates, checklists, and resources. The bottom line is I want to work with you. And so you can also just go to angelaodom.com/leadership plan, and we'll talk through what that looks like, if we're a good fit. And I'm looking for 40 women to join me on this. We're going to start in August. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and set up your one-on-one coaching call with me so we can look at, what your goals are, so that I help you achieve success, so that I help you become the hero in your own journey, not mine. It's not my journey, it's yours. So there you go. Every Tuesday at noon, the Better You Video Show, we're talking about leadership topics. And we're looking to help emerging women leaders grow their leadership skills with confidence. And I'm Angela Odom, and as always, I'm rooting for you. All right, you all take care.